head, reverse the interlace, and then what Pee Wee explained yesterday, we'll bring our hands to the crown of our head, pushing the soft part of our head up just slightly, helping elongate our spine. Inhaling, the arms coming up again. And we'll exhale, our left arm comes down, right arm comes over, just getting a bit of a side stretch. Trying to keep that space and length within our chest, so not collapsing down towards the floor, keeping the chest facing towards the side or the ceiling. And then we'll inhale, everything comes up. And exhale to the other side. Inhaling everything up, we'll go to the left again. Just for a moment. And inhale up, coming down to the right. And then inhale, both arms come up. Exhale, bring the left forward, right back into a little slight twist. Remember, our twist starts from our pelvis, getting the foundation of the base set, and feeling each vertebrae start twisting or slightly turning up your back. And if it feels okay on your neck, you can look over your shoulder. And we'll inhale, our arms coming all the way up, getting that space and elongation in the spine, and exhaling to the other side. Remember, before twist, we always want to extend the spine upwards, getting more space between our vertebrae so they're not crunching together when we twist. Making sure your shoulders are not hugging up to your ears. Draw the shoulder blades down your back. Maybe looking behind you. And then inhaling, both arms come up again. You'll exhale, bring your palms in front of you, and then come into a tabletop position. And in this tabletop, we'll do a few cat-cows. So inhaling, belly comes down, tailbone sticks up, chest expands, shoulders back and down, maybe looking slightly up. And exhaling, rounding the spine, navel comes up towards the spine, maybe looking between your legs, rounding the back. And then inhaling, belly down, chest wide, looking slightly up and out. And exhale, navel towards spine, rounding the back, maybe looking behind you. I want you to see if you can start connecting your own breath rhythm to these movements. Just going through your cat-cow, but connecting breath to movement at your own pace. Making sure all 10 knuckles of your palms are on the ground firmly. Bringing awareness to each of your fingers. And maybe noticing here, before we pop up into our down dog, if you have a hyperextension in your elbows. And if you're hyperextending, just put that slight micro bend. Saw some good adjustments already. Nice job. And if you want to make this a little more playful, you can sway your hips side to side. Moving the spine in different directions. Finding any cobwebs that might be in your body. you've been doing a lot more yoga, a lot long days, your body might be feeling sore. So just kind of feel it out. Self-exploring practice. And then from here, start coming into stillness. Tuck your toes, set your palms, and then pop up into your downward facing dog. And from here, you can walk the dog just a little bit, bending one knee, bending the other knee. And really notice your hands here. Are your palms firmly on the ground? Are your triceps rolling back? Your latissimus dorsi and anterior serratus engaged? And make sure your traps aren't hugging up to your ears. Eventually finding your stillness. Taking a couple deep breaths here. And then walking your feet up to meet your hands. Coming into Uttanasana, or forward fold. Making sure all four of the feet are on the ground and pointing towards the floor. And then on your next inhale, bring your arms around your body, coming up overhead. And exhale into Tadasana. Maybe have a moment here. Noticing that prana starting to move through your body already. We'll go through one round of Surya Namaskar and then we'll get started on our breakdown. So we'll inhale quickly. I'm mostly just going to give you cues. Exhale down to your toes. Inhaling, halfway lift. And we'll exhale, step the right foot back, step the left foot back, plank pose. And then knees, chest, chin. Inhale into upward facing dog. And exhale into downward facing dog. Inhale the right leg up to meet your hands, followed by the left. Uttanasana. And then inhaling, arms come all the way up overhead. And exhale by your side. We'll do the left side now. Inhaling, arms up. Exhaling down towards your toes. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, step the left foot back, step the right foot back, plank pose. And then Ashtanga Namaskar, knees, chest, chin. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, step the left foot up to meet your hands. Step the right foot up. Uttanasana, forward fold. Inhale, arms come up and overhead. And exhale, Tadasana. Having a moment here. All right, let's get ready to balance. All right, Grace has so kindly volunteered to be my demonstrative assistant today, more helpful for me rather than talking and demonstrating. So Grace, come on up here. The first pose is Hasta, Padangusthasana. So let's break it down. Let's say, repeat after me. We'll do Uttita Hasta, Padangusthasana. Right. Does anyone remember what Uttita means? Extended. I heard it. Extended. And so this, and then the pose is extended hand to big toe pose. And so, do you want to strap? Yeah. We'll show you the, what's it called? The original name of the pose. The original way the pose is done in Ashtanga. You're going to keep your feet firmly planted on the ground, all four corners of the feet. You want to make sure 4 corners of your feet are so important in all poses, but especially balancing poses, because if the 4 corners of your feet aren't on the ground, then you're not going to be able to balance quite as easily. So for starters, we'll do this in stages. We'll lift the right leg up, and just hang here for a moment. We're in easy balance. You see her hips are up, hip height. Her hips are still square facing forward, and her hips aren't jutting out at all. They're keeping in line with the horizontal plane. And now, if possible, she's going to grab hold of her big toe from the inside. Yep. And this is a perfect place to stay. If you're just working on your balance, you're working on flexibility, or she can extend her foot out forward. Typically the knee will be straight. You'll be using your peace fingers around your big toe. All right, thank you, Grace. I won't make you stay up there. Yeah. Okay. And then so her hips are staying down. You want to make sure the buttocks of the right hip won't be jutting up. So you want to keep these evenly down. The standing leg thighs rotating in. This leg is also rotating in. So you're coming through the midline, making that energy go up and taller. All right? And then, from the side. Yeah, from the side too. But I'd also, we passed out all our straps and we didn't save one for ourselves. So can we use somebody's strap? Thank you. So I'm going to show you with a strap, because a strap is a great place to work when you're still working on the flexibility of your shoulder, the flexibility of your hamstrings. So if you can see Grace here, her shoulder's coming a little far out. Ideally, you want that shoulder rolled back and down. And when she does that, you can see that her hip comes up as well, right? And do you kind of see that subtle movement? So, Grace, I'm going to give you a strap.
Thank you.
Yes. She's going to put the strap around the ball of her foot. Grabbing hold of either side. And do you see how she's more in a line right now? That's ideally how you want your upper body to be. And she's just going to work here for the moment of this pose. You can see the 4 corners of her feet are firmly on the ground. Her thigh is rotating in. Her core is engaged. She also has a slight micro bend in the standing knee. Great. Thank you, Grace. But before I send you off practicing that, I'm going to show you how to do this on the ground. It's actually a different pose called Supta Padangusthasana. Supta means lying down. And it works the same muscles, but without the challenge of the balance. So for here, you'll see her shoulders are going to stay on the ground. Her thigh bone is going into her hip socket, which is ideally what you want when you're standing. And she's kind of just working the alignment here. So she's in complete alignment with her hip. Shoulders down. Yeah, looking good. And so what you can really focus on when you're lying on the ground is that internal rotation of the quad. Same here. And you want to make sure your both feet are firmly flexed. You see her toes have lots of life in them. Nice job. Her toes have lots of life. That'll help with the internal rotation as well. So I'll have you, since, let's see, we don't have enough straps. You don't have to go grab it if you want. We can, so what I'll have, half of you, whoever has a strap right now, will start working on the floor. The other half of you, I want you to kind of just start working right here. Feel it as standing up, feeling the alignment of your hips, staying horizontal, the internal rotations of your quads. All right, I'll give you a few minutes to do that, and then we'll switch. And then here, someone can use this one. And then Grace and I will be around for any questions. Great job. I gotta manage my time better this class. So I have.
I have one in my room. Should I go take it?
If you want to, you don't have to. Go grab it. Question. But if you'd like to go, you get your shot.
When as soon as I lift up the leg, I immediately feel that my body.
That your hip starts moving.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But it's not like moving; it's like switching. So I'm wondering, it's because I have like wide hips, or.
Yeah. So you'll automatically have a little, like when you start balancing it, your body's going to try to center the gravity over the part that's balancing. You just don't want to do this.
Okay, so
yeah, so your hips are still, centered. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, this is fine. That's fine, just not that. Yeah.
I was noticing like when I was holding this, I was like doing really good and as I'm focusing, but then like you feel like this like pinch up. Is that when I'm not
right?
Like so you like feel it in like.
You know what? She kind of asked me about that too. All right, I've just gotten 2 questions with the standing leg about the hip. So what's really gonna help? So it's okay when you start balancing, you lift one leg up and your weight shifts to one side. That's just the center of gravity trying to balance over what's standing. But what you don't want is the jutting out, which will make the hips uneven. And to help with that, you really want to firm in the glute of the standing leg. So your quadriceps engage, your glutes engage, but you still have that micro bend in the knee. And that'll help keep the standing leg firm and your hips straight and even. Sure. Well, I'm gonna have them switch with the straps as well. Might put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, I have like 20 minutes for each pose. If you're feeling confident in what you've just worked on, maybe find somebody to share your strap with. Thank you so much.
I can just switch it for the strap because, for example, I still cannot like straighten my leg. So I guess it's okay to bend it.
And it's it's okay to keep it a little bent. So sorry, I don't know why I'm speaking in the mic. Can I see what
for example, even lying, I can straighten it. And left one is worse. Oh, that's okay.
Yeah, that's exactly where you work. Allowing it, a lot of slack in the strap. Is that as far as your hip goes right there? Yeah, I think you're in a great position. the side. I can demonstrate it too. Let's just go start walking. How's it feeling?
I like it. This is definitely
Yeah, oh, definitely. I'm a big fan of the strap. Straps and blocks are like my favorite. It's really, when you start understanding alignment, you're like, wow, straps and blocks are like really helpful. Are you breathing?
the bottom like flex.
Yes. Yes. Straight, toes straight up, because that'll help you rotate it in. You can play with the difference. You'll notice a difference in kind of how your leg feels. Very great idea. Sarongs and towels also work great as straps. Should have mentioned that. Good job. Thank you. Extended hand to big toe. Yeah.
What is it, my feet in every balance pose also this line forward or?
Yes, okay, yeah. The line, you know that line that Pee Wee had you guys draw on your foot? That's always facing forward in every balancing pose. And that'll help with the balance. It might make you use your big toe more, right? That's the same with me. All right, I'm going to show you the second phase of this pose. It's the same pose, but our leg comes out to the side. So then we'll start working on that as well. So Grace can come back up here. Yeah, maybe, I have a sarong actually, or my scarf. Yeah. Thank you. All right. So actually, first we'll just work on the knee. So first, you're gonna make sure. So you're standing foot. You're gonna make sure everything's aligned here. Four corners, kneecap up has a micro bend. You're rotating the leg ever so slightly, and your glute is engaged. So then you lift up, and then you'll just gently move it out. But then you should notice, a lot of people here, you'll notice that your hips start turning as well. You're not rotating through this leg, that's more so from this hip. So you want to make sure it comes from the hip that you're moving, and it might not go out that far, and that's okay. Just kind of, it depends on the openness of your hip, and you'll just hang out there. You want to make sure your navel is still forward, and I should have mentioned before, you want to make sure you have that neutral tilt of the pelvis. So a lot of people got to work on bringing their tailbone down. For those three of you, just maybe pop it out a little bit. So you'll keep the neutral pelvis. Navel is still facing straight, the same direction as that line on your foot, and core is engaged. And what's really once you start getting to the upper body, you can start expanding your chest outwards. Feeling space and length in your lung, reaching with that through the crown of your head with that string coming up. And then I'll show you that's stage one. Stage two will be with the strap. She'll place it on the ball of her foot again. So we're working on her right side. She'll grab the strap in her right hand, both sides in her right hand, moving it on over. Right?
Am I doing the full?
Yeah. So she'll bring it up, extend her knee, toes are facing up, and then she'll just rotate out. But you see her hips slightly went that way. We went just through the, she'll keep her hips facing forward and then rotate it out. The movement just comes from within the hip socket. Navel still face forward, toes are still face forward. Chest, where's her chest? Face forward. Right. Okay, thank you, Grace. And if you can reach your big toe and move it out, fantastic. And the full extension of the pose is out, and then you bring it out. You'll extend this arm, maybe put a mudra on your hand, and look out to the side. But, you know, it all comes in stages. So you can work either on the ground or standing up. I'll give it yogi's choice. Just kind of feel what feels natural for you. I recommend at least trying it on the ground so you can feel the alignment of your legs. And again, straps, sarongs, towels, all that's great. And you'll notice that when you have the leg out slightly, it's not really, there's a slight external rotation, but you're still trying to keep the quad firm and kneecap engaged. Okay. How's that all sounding?
Yeah, really good.
Okay. Peter's not here. She said she was going to come to all my classes. She told me yesterday, she's like, I was asking her for feedback on my first. She's like, it's way harder that I'm here. She's like, it'll be way easier for you when I'm not.
I agree.
Yeah, and it feels it. But I know also yesterday was my first day, so I felt like just see how it goes. But I feel in a rhythm today. All right, and Grace and I are here for any questions walking around.
I was adjusting a lot of their upper feet and that were not flexed, so I went round and said, make sure.
This pose, both of your feet are flexed. So your bottom foot, especially if you're lying down, it's just like you're standing on the floor. So toes are facing the ceiling. And then toes for the leg going to the side are flexed as well. And if you're practicing on the ground, it could be helpful to keep the hand that is free, the hand on the extended leg on the ground side. Keep that hand on the hip to make sure the hips aren't rotating. You'll see how much you actually rotate your hips rather than through the hip socket. Hips, I should say pelvis, that your pelvis.
Not how wide you're getting it.
No, not how wide at all. You kind of just hang out wherever you go rather than, then that's not the point.
So if you're doing a class where there's no straps, should you even do it? Because mostly everyone, I think their shoulders coming out.
Right.
So you're always.
It depends on the level of the class. You guys will be, the Ashtanga sequence doesn't really use props. So I think Evelina might just have you working. You're more than welcome to grab a strap, but I don't really like teaching it without a strap because then I just see everybody in my class like this.
Yeah. I think if you don't have strap, just work with the knee down.
Exactly.
Gotcha. You'll
Just
let the people that
and
do
you'll
it anyway.
Right, and you can just instruct with the knee and say and give them stages. That's also part if you're teaching a class. Just have the knee and say only if you can keep the.
Gotcha.
Even I need to keep working on this shoulder in the socket.
Because yesterday I noticed we did that pose with the girl who taught the class.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Didn't you do that one? I've never done it without a strap. I felt like I know I'm. Yeah.
And then you feel all crunched in your organs and your chest.
Yeah.
When the whole point of every pose is
Open.
yes.
Okay. Good to know.
Yes.
So then, in that case, you would just come out to here, like
Mm-hmm.
and then.
Yeah. And here you can really work the core. Make sure that's staying engaged. Working at the corner of your feet.
Okay, so that's just a pose in itself, just this?
It's like the precursor to.
Okay. Okay. And then so
Make sure you're working both your legs.
squaring what pattern? See if I'm squaring it. Here.
Great, good height.
Is it your arms to be bent or
It's
doesn't matter?
yeah. When you're using the strap, it's kind of however the strap
Okay.
will work. You look behind you, yeah. That's kind of the full expression on the side. Your hand will be straight.
You mentioned that it's usually better also fix the gaze.
Right.
because
I meant to talk about that. Thank you. All right, one more thing that I totally forgot to mention when working in all balancing poses is that it's best to fix your gaze on a point that's not moving. It's called a dristi in yoga. So you'll just focus on something in the distance and make your gaze soft. Make sure that point is not moving, because if it's moving, it'll make you wobble as well. So that'll really help with your balancing. You might even have, since you're super flexy, you might even have to work with a block at your side to make sure your hips don't fall completely out, because you're working on stability, right? Mm-hmm. Right. But it's not too big a deal, but let me show you what you can do. You can sit lying down. Standing up, you'll be fine. But since I just saw something lying down, yeah. So yeah, bring the foot up, and I'm gonna just kind of put a block here.
Oh, okay.
Actually, like that. So can you grab or you can use this, yeah. And that'll help work your leg into the hip socket rather than just flopping open.
Okay.
You feel a difference there,
Yeah.
keeping that down? So that's where you help work more like alignment and joint stuff rather than just letting your hips fall open. But again, that's only when you're lying down. Like when you're standing up and it goes out, it's a different pose. Mm-hmm.
Modifications of this pose of people learning how to get into that beautiful part?
It's kind of
More of like, yeah, okay, go ahead. So it's like, would that be okay?
completely.
Because it's one of those things where I've seen people in yoga class, like before I used to be able to do that
Mm-hmm.
pose, so I wasn't one of them, but I would see people just completely stop because they couldn't do that
Right.
part. So then you can encourage people to do this and just moving out the side but keeping the hips forward. Is that
Right.
correct?
Yeah, exactly. And it's so
'Cause that's where I'm
important.
at now.
It's so important to give those stages in the yoga class, because then the people that can't do it or more beginner will start feeling left out and like, okay, I can't do any of these poses.
Like,
So
why even try?
exactly. So yeah, I'd always recommend teaching in stages and letting them choose their journey. Mm-hmm.
No, I love it. Like, thank you.
Okay, how's everybody doing? You guys feel like you're kind of starting to get the hang of it? Just one more minute here, and then we'll come back to our mats and move on to our next standing balance. Garudasana.
Rock thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Those. Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna have them stay straight up for now, and then.
I think it's hard to stay.
Yeah, because you work your core, and you have to
At least you
can balance yourself in different points. Yeah, so you're working your core and your back and your spine.
Is this 7 till 9? Danny told me 7 till 8.
Yeah. Well, it does say, I think 7:30 on the schedule, but Pee-wee's been going over, and she kind of said it was 9. Yesterday, I had so many poses to teach, and I was like, I'm late. I want to make sure to get them out early. Or
Yeah. Because otherwise everyone starts to get like grumpy.
yeah. Yeah, I was like,
As
okay,
we
we have to go through our vinyasa, and then I was like, we have to do the other side, and everyone was just like, and I was like, I can't. I was like, my yoga self, I can't just let you go out with one side done. I'm sorry. All right, let's start wrapping up here, and we'll move on to our next pose. For this sequence, I wrote when you kind of can do it on your own. I added a vinyasa in between, which is just. It's not even the full Surya Namaskar. I just had you kind of stand, down, halfway, down, up, just to wash out the pose. When you're teaching, you can put whatever you want in between these standing balancing poses, as long as you're not having them go like, okay, let's stand from our standing balance and let's go lie on our backs. You want to make sure you have some transitions in between. But for the purpose of teaching you the alignment, I'm just going to move on to our next pose of Garudasana. All right, everyone say Garudasana. Garudasana. And that translates, that's eagle pose. Yeah. Fine, it'll be great for you then. All right, so eagle pose is actually a really kind of fun mind twist pose. And I actually still, to this day, it's a little challenging for me to mirror and teach because all my limbs are starting to like wrap, and so I usually when I teach, I usually I just go backwards myself. It's all about being authentic and honest too when you're teaching. So Garudasana, you kind of can start in your same standing balance pose here, and that'll help you work with your foot. There's also another way you can get into it. I'm not sure, maybe in your lessons you've already gone through Uttanasan, chair pose. So either one is an appropriate way to get into Garudasana. It's just yogi's choice or what's going to flow better with the sequence you've created. So for this purpose, we'll sit into chair. Grace will lift the heel of her right foot and come and bring it over like, I don't know, don't like saying this in 2020, but kind of the ladylike sitting down, like crossing your legs in a chair. And actually, let's start here. No. So we'll keep untucked for now, and that's okay if you're working there. The full expression of the legs are going to wrap the ankle around the calf.
Do you want me to go this way?
Yeah. So how about everybody stand up and we'll actually just start working on the legs first. So you want to make sure, let's start our bend in our chair. Or just, you don't even have to get fully into chair, just give your knees a slight bend. Lifting your right heel. And then slowly finding stability in your left leg. Tucking, making sure that glute is engaged will help keep your balance as well. And then give it a little cross. And then if you want to continue with the wrap, you can wrap your toes over your ankle. And here in this pose, Pee-wee discussed it when we were talking about the midline. You can feel all the energy going up towards the center of your body. You want to make sure all four corners of the feet are engaged or touching the floor. And then for now, our pelvis will be neutral. And then if you want to continue on with the arms, so what did we do? Right leg? We did right leg over left. So we'll go put right arm under left. on top. So the arms go opposite of the leg crossing. And so Grace is already in it. So what I like to do, I start with my arms wide. And when I teach kids, I say spread them really wide like an eagle. And then you'll bring the cross. So the right arm will come under the left. You'll kind of like, you can almost put your left arm into the right socket. And continue the wrap of your wrist if that's possible. Another, if your students or you cannot continue the wrap, just have them work here, and that's totally okay. But once you get into the full expression, we're going to make sure our core is engaged. Our shoulders are not hugging up to our ears, so your trapezius is back and down. And for now, the elbows will be around about shoulder height.
What is more important, to be able to wrap your leg around so bend more your knee, or should it be straight?
No, the knee is definitely bent in the pose, but it's not super important to wrap. It's
more important to be able to wrap around.
it's more you bend. You don't want to keep it straight at all. That's not a. I don't even know if that is a pose.
I have like to bend way more than you to be able,
Yeah.
so that's okay.
Yeah, completely. Yeah.
I have a question in comparison with this question. The main idea is still our hips to stay square front, right? Not
Yeah.
turn.
Hips stay square. That's a very good point. Thank you. So when you do wrap, your hips will tend to go this way. You want to make sure, and then that starts twisting your knee, right? I already felt it when I was demonstrating. I hate demonstrating the wrong way. So then you'll keep your hips square, core engaged. Back straight. Yep. Spine reaching tall, crown of the head reaching towards the ceiling. And why don't we actually partner up for this one? And we'll have one partner kind of be the wall. So look, like here, Grace, can you start getting into your pose?
Do you want me to be this way?
Yeah, let's go this way. So you can use your partner, can be your wall. It can be your wall. Just add your partner support. Let them lean back on you. So you can start really feeling into the alignment. All right, go. Yes, Selena. Right. So the arms will help stretch out the trapezius, a little bit of the latissimus dorsi. It'll help grow your neck taller. All right. Anything else you'd like to add? Right. Yeah. That's a really good point. So your arms, the energetic push of your arms. So go ahead, Grace. You're lifting up and pulling out. Thank you. Thank you very much. And so then you'll really start feeling it in your back. And it'll start opening in the back area. And again, if your shoulders are tight, you'll just work here and pull forward.
So we don't want to go like front.
Yeah, that's something else. And that's something I like to add in my classes. I do some ab work. But since now we're just working on balancing, yeah. So yeah, have your partner, yeah. And I'll start coming around and answering individual questions. Am I talking too fast for you? Okay, I thought I might be.
So if it's right leg, left hand up.
Yes. So right leg, yeah, opposite.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Right is on top. Right.
Under, yeah. Okay. What is my left? Is there? And then, the other one. Yeah.
That's very nice. Great adjustments too.
don't think.
Yes.
Yes, we need to do this.
Well, oh, sorry. No, sorry. You both did opposite actions. So you have the more. Yeah, you have this. Right.
have
You,
to
so
do
you
this?
no. You want to
Neutral.
keep it. You keep it neutral. Very neutral.
Okay.
Very neutral. Your tailbone is pointing down towards the
And
floor.
because when we start to cross like this,
Mhm.
it moves a little bit in
Yes.
the way
So
that
then you keep
in,
it.
yeah, in the direction.
Mhm.
So
So that might prevent you from going further with your twist, and then you just want to keep working with the hips forward, because then
okay.
it'll be very bad with your knee.
Okay.
How is
Nice.
it?
Thank you.
Yeah, you want to give her an adjustment?
Yep.
Great. Yeah, much better.
Yeah.
I'll just lift this up a little bit. Do you feel more of that in the back? Mhm.
But the orientation of the, this is my way of thinking, I don't know if it's true or not. If your base
Mhm.
first are oriented like this, and you know that when you are gonna turn on this way, you're gonna move a little bit. Is it better to start, for example, a little bit like this, and after maybe adjust, or not? It doesn't make any difference if you put your leg like this or like this.
I would keep the base just strong and steady. You don't want to
Okay.
adjust in mid pose. And I know what you're talking about, and I do that too when I
I
kind
would
of
like to
start.
find a way to adjust the position. If you are alone, sometimes it's not easy.
So you're
Because,
like
for
this.
example, when she do it, she changed the leg, and now you can see the hips. It's a little bit oriented like this, but not in the front of the stage, for example. And my way of thinking is, if you move a little bit your foot in the direction that you feel, maybe it will change. But I don't know, because if the base at the beginning it's not good, they
Right.
told us, okay, it will change the hasana. Maybe it's the foundation.
Okay.
But I'm not sure. It's just something
Yeah,
that
I'm
I
gonna
feel, and
just
then I
give
ask.
you my recommendation, and it's not usually like I wouldn't teach this in an alignment course, but because different bodies are different, and if your hips are automatically like this and it's way too hard to go forward, I think it's better to slightly turn the foot so your
Okay.
knee is not being
Okay.
torqued. Always save the knee. I think that's like the most important thing. Right.
Yes.
That's great. But for the most part, you really want to try to keep it there. But I know what you're
I
saying.
understand. It's really clear for me. If you start at the beginning and you are not aligned, the rest of the asana will be.
Exactly, and that's what
This
Evelina
is
was
why
talking about.
yesterday when we talk about the base and the foundation, it's so important.
Right. Yeah, and that's why when you're teaching, you always start with the base because everything else is going to get
And
screwed
after
up.
in your mind, you have so many points to think about to be correct. So if it's already good at the base, maybe after it's more easy to adjust your asana.
Exactly. Yeah.
Pain in my knees when I do it like inside,
Pain on the insides of your knees. Do you have any knee injuries?
Oh, I had some problems, like I did CrossFit and then one day I
Do you
just
feel is it the cartilage at all?
maybe I don't know.
Then I would try not. I wouldn't twist as far.
Okay, so
And that's
don't
totally.
like hold
Does that feel better just hanging out here? Because this could be, if you aren't as flexible in your leg, then your knees are gonna start trying to twist and
Okay, if
start
I do
torque.
like this, like that modification is okay.
Right.
If I
So
go like
yeah, because I can see your hips torquing your knees. So just hang out there. No place is better or worse. It's all just a journey and a progress. Yeah.
right by the side going down.
Amira,
Yeah.
can you help us with the feet if the line is it right here? This is the middle. Huh?
Yep. That little indent into the middle of the toe.
Okay.
Yep.
Because it feels so strange to have the feet like.
Just a tad
I
out.
think it was lifelong standing wrong, or because
I
it
have
feels
this.
for me like this.
Do you feel like your knees? I actually have that too, and I have to rotate out just a little bit because you walk like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think about that. I'm very mindful in my yoga poses, and I'll just something that I've picked up on my practice that if it starts because we've conditioned ourselves to walk like this, and if your knee starts feeling torqued in any of these poses, especially this one, I was actually just telling Yannick over there, just slightly turn it outward because that's the way it stands because you don't want it torquing ever on your knee. But traditionally, work there, try to kind of push it out. But if you're feeling knee pain and like
And what about walking? Should we also be focused a little bit of turning more in the feet, or?
yeah, that could be a good habit to get into. That'll start helping you feel better in asana as
So
well.
it's also the normal pose to walk like this.
Yes.
Okay.
You have high arches, yeah? Now, how have you? I know I started walking more like that. My arches are so high. And I started walking more like this because I realized it gives my foot a bigger base to stand on. You know? And I think that's why it happens. And it could be the shape of your pelvis if you're super flexible and open, your hips.
But it's not only normal to stand like this, it's also normal to walk like this. So I do not something wrong with my hips when I try to walk like this.
And yeah, your hips
like
are, I mean, how many years have you been alive and walking that way? It's just habit and how our body starts forming over time. And so now you're pushing down more on your four corners too, like making sure your big toes touch, going forward. Oops, sorry.
Yeah. Normally I don't walk on my big toe.
Yeah, I can see, and you're working your arches really well as well, and as you're walking.
And then when I move down, I can go times.
Yeah.
Grace, well present.
Yeah.
It's a question about our knee actually. Because when we, Grace, can you ask?
Yeah. No, I was just noticing for the first time, like, if I'm going into eagle and I'm here, my knee is still relatively straight, but then when I square my hips, my bottom knee is going out, right? And that's okay in this pose.
Yeah, what I've been suggesting, how does it feel on the knee?
So it was feeling okay, but he was telling me to like adjust my hips even more, and as I was doing that, I was like,
Does it, yeah. So what I've been suggesting is just turn it out a little bit. We always want to protect the knee if you're starting to feel knee pain.
okay.
Yeah.
But it's sort of natural in this pose for the
It's
knee
a
to
just,
be a little
oh,
further
yeah.
out than
Yeah. But yeah, again, it's a self-study and it's always taking care of yourself rather than trying to be perfect. So maybe inquire if you're teaching with your students how it feels in their body and stuff.
Right. And I've also been told, like, really constrict everything in the pose, right? Like the goal
Yeah,
is
so
really
everything's coming in, yeah. And bringing your shoulders out, everything coming in and towards the midline. Your core is engaged. And
right. What's the word for that? I guess it's constrict.
Kumbhaka holds. Something else you can, Pee-wee likes to, have you heard of Mula Bandha? So yeah, you're gonna hold your bandhas as well, the pelvic floor muscles. What Pee-wee likes to say, she like close all the holes downstairs. And that'll help engage your Mula Bandha. I was like dying when I heard her say that. I was like, oh, I might use that.
It's actually right, like that our knees goes a little bit like in the wrong direction.
You want to keep it as straight as possible, but it's also habit of how we've been walking.
But now,
Okay, let me get into the pose. Yeah, I see what you guys mean.
Yeah,
So
your hips are
it still goes like.
yeah,
so it's just a function of
Yeah.
pose, I guess.
But actually, it doesn't feel discomfortable with the knee when you like.
Are you talking
even if you pointing.
personally, if it feels
telling me to move my hips even more than maybe I usually do.
Yeah.
And that's when I was like, oh wow, I didn't
You
feel
were
my
already really straight. Like I was complaining.
yeah.
Such a just keep doing
yeah,
No, but it was good to
hip
find that
straight.
sometimes, like when you're
And then you know what? Maybe the thing is to stay a little further out of the pose to keep it a little more safe and steady.
Really? Okay. Because I usually think of eagle as like you're sitting
Yeah, and
as
you're going
far
more
down
Yeah.
as you can,
But
right?
if you go down, your knee will go this direction, no?
Right. You know, I can check in with Pee Wee too. I want to make sure I give you guys the right answer.
But do
Because it is tricky, because everybody's are so different.
but do we need like a press, like to one side and to another side of our body, or
No. It's all coming in, and if anything, when we'll crunch down, constrict, and then coming up. Yeah. Okay. I think I'm gonna start.
It's not your legs, because your legs are
May I ask?
Hello.
The
Yes.
legs. Is there also a reason why we do the legs, or is it just for the balancing? I mean, we do the arms for the stretch and the
Yeah.
upper back, and I was wondering if for the legs there is.
Do you not feel a stretch in your legs?
I just feel pain in the knee when I do it
Pain
wrong.
when you do it because it's twisting,
Yeah.
right?
When I'm
Yeah,
not
I
sitting
think
low
it's just constricting everything into the energy into the midline, allowing it to come up your body, and also I think
Oh yeah,
when you
there's a bit, yeah, here.
when you come out of the pose, think of all the new blood flow that's rushing all to these areas and all the oxygen that's going to get there once it's fully released. Yeah.
Okay, I know.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good, very good question. You have great questions.
Sorry,
No. It's really
always feel so-
important to
Okay.
really start understanding and
Yeah.
know, and I'd never hold back a question.
Okay.
And if I don't know, I'll like go and check in or do some
Okay.
research. Yeah.
Never take it like personal.
No, I don't
just
at
always
all.
have so many questions because when I'm in my class, I feel like I want to really know, like,
Right.
why.
Yeah, of course. I gotta know why too.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect.
Uttanasana? Yeah. So, yeah, that one's gonna be you're gonna put your leg in lotus and then get down into the chair. But I'm gonna have you it's kind of just working in figure 4 at this point. Like I said, I think I mentioned already, I don't even like to work in lotus just because of my hip flexibility and saving my knee. So, no, they're the same. That's why I didn't write them. And honestly, the vinyasas can change or be whatever you want it to be in between. I just thought, since we're standing, we'll just stay standing.
So it can be different.
Yeah.
What calls vinyasa?
Vinyasa. It's the flow of through the poses. Vinyasa means movement, basically. You know what? She wrote, there's like 3 different ways to say that pose. She called it Urdhva Hasta Tadasana. Here it's shortened. Hastasana. You can also, Uttita Hasta Tadasana is extended as well. So, Urdhva up. Hasta, what is Hasta? Let me look that up real quick. I just blanked. Yeah, Hasta is hand. But I just want to make sure I'm giving you. Yeah, it's hand. Because Hasta Padangusthasana is also hand to big toe to foot.
Where's the drishti
And something that's not moving, just soft gaze
forward, like
forward,
you try to look
kind of like pass
or,
yeah.
Okay.
Through your hands.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. All right, I have a couple more poses to teach you today, so we're going to start moving on. How are you with dancer?
depends on the day.
Yeah, it does. Okay, we're gonna go on to, that pretty pose that you see in lots of Instagram photos, everyone on a cliff doing a big dancer pose. So this one's called Naranjasana, and it's actually, it kind of represents Shiva dancing, and Shiva's, the male energetic god of Hinduism. So I'll have Grace up here start. There's a lot of different stages to work in dancer's pose, and
You just told me.
yeah, and you can also use a strap, which I'll show as well. Do we have our strap up here? Okay, so what do you think? The base leg, it's going to be the same in all these standing poses. You want 4 corners of the feet on the ground. Kneecap, quad engaged, glute in. So Grace is gonna go back with her, right foot, and grab the outside of her ankle. The more you do this pose and the more you start understanding your body and your shoulder, as well as your hip flexibility, you can put it on the inside, but I'll show you why I won't teach it on the inside in a second. So Grace is just, how does that feel?
Yeah.
Some people in your classes might just have to work here. They'll have to roll their shoulder back and down, making sure the trapezius is not reaching up. And if they have really tight quads or knees, they're just going to stay right there. But Grace, I think you are a little more flexible, right? So she's just going to start bending kind of her at the hips. She's going to kick the top of her foot really strongly into her hand. That's what's actually going to give her lift. You want to add as much kick into the back, which will start lifting up through the chest. This is actually a mini back bend, so you'll start lifting up through the chest and then bending forward, using her left arm to help balance, maybe adding Chi Mudra out in front of you. You want to make sure your hips are still square, facing the ground. Micro bend in your knee. All right, and again, I think the most important thing here is your kick back into that hand, because that's going to give you the lift of your chest, and I'll have you guys try that. Yeah. I want to show you what happens when you put your hand on the inside. So she's going to put her hand on the inside, but if you're not quite used to the pose, your legs are going to start splaying out. So I wouldn't recommend teaching it this way. That's only when you get into like the higher practice or more experienced yogis are super flexible. So her hips she's going to start opening a little bit. Thank you, Grace. Okay, you can come back down. Let's see, I'm going to take a strap.
I might try the other leg on this.
Yeah, okay. Oh yeah, your point is.
How with the strap?
Yeah, you're gonna wrap. So she's gonna wrap the strap. She's gonna pull her foot back slightly, and then place the strap kind of on her, the bent, the crease where the ankle meets the foot. Nope, no, sorry.
I've not done
Here,
it with this.
really? Okay, I'll demonstrate.
Oh, you can
But
put
it-
it on me.
Okay. So if you have someone that's super tight in your class, you can have them work here, and also here, wait, bring this, and you can have them just kind of work the strap here. Your toes kind of pointed in this position as well. You don't want to get flexed. Then if you flex the foot, you're gonna lose mobility in your quad. You want to point and extend and stretch. But you want to, big part, so since it's a mini back bend, you want to make sure you're rolling your shoulders back and down, lifting up through the chest, kind of like you have a string coming from your heart. And to work on this pose, we're actually going to go to the railings. So you can take out the balancing aspect and really start working your hips square down to the ground. Polina. me see. Yeah. But again, it's kind of like, test it out, see what works best for you. There's no like, I'm not going to say, okay, you have to breathe like this and that. And it only matters kind of when you're coming on and off your. So your hips are opening.
Yeah, so I'm going to ask you about that. So from my car accident, my back break, my left hip.
Ah, okay, you have the car.
I have, yeah, so but my left hip is moved in, so I'm always having to do weird things to
So your left hip,
so
where's your left hip gone? It's moved just.
it goes, it's like the skeleton is moved in, and then this one is like normal.
Okay.
So on a lot of things, even the ones where I say like when you close your, like you're doing the thing and you think like your foot is like straight, and you close your eyes, and they like, you know, the partner would turn your foot in, and then it felt like I was going like this.
Okay.
You know, just because of my hip. So how do I compensate for that one when I'm doing this one?
So how does it feel when you try to keep your hips straight?
Like, so to me, this feels straight, but I know that it's not. So then I have to like twist. But like what feels...
I would say you still work with square hips. Because then you're going to start, yeah, I would say don't go as far and still keep trying to work it square. About right there would be your place.
So weird because, so for me, that feels like, because this is like normal, so when I move this back, it feels like my, so it feels like it's off. So what I'm trying to do is like envision making these 4 points parallel with the ground. Does that make sense?
So you're going to be, let's see. So when it looks like it's facing the ground in the back, it's different in the front. Is that what you're saying? So yeah, right there.
So that was me, like, so like this is like, it feels like normal.
Okay.
And this was me adjusting, trying to make those imaginary points flat to the ground. So like, so from the muscles, not the actual bones. So I know my bones are off, so then my muscles I straighten. Does that make sense? Because like this feels straight, but I know that it's not. So I go like.
So keep working on that within your poses as well. And you might not go as far and.
Yeah. Just like being okay with it.
Yeah, just that's part of it. Letting the ego go, like, okay, that used to be me, that's not me right now.
Right?
Yeah.
It's so funny because it's like all these little muscles, like, I'm like, I want to do some kid moves because my hips are like tight. Teach these kid yoga. I think I'm like 8 years old. Yeah.
That's wonderful. Inner child is full bloom.
It's like, Jazz, have your
Yeah.
regarding the hips. Because when we do it, I mean, the hip, I try to put it square, but then this comes up, right?
Yeah, so you're going to have to go. Yep, you're going to have to work there. So in terms of keeping the hips square, this is really important. A lot of you are coming up to me saying that, hey, I can't keep my hips square when I kick back. And that's where you're going to have to let your ego go and really work on keeping the hips square. And then eventually you'll be able to start kicking back into the full expression. But it's going to take work over time. If you continue to work with it side out, you're not going to fully get into dancer. It's going to start kind of going into, that's a whole different pose called Chapasana. So, yeah. Yeah, so there's different levels of that too. So you'll start here, and then the more open you are in your chest, your back bend, you'll start rolling your shoulders back and can reach up. Honestly, anywhere in between here, and wherever it feels better for you. There's no, yeah. I like to teach a lot more of a fluid yogi's choice, feel your body type of yoga. I think it's really important for people to do that kind of self-exploration.
Yeah, totally. And yeah, they're always like, bicep by your ear, bicep
Yeah.
by your ear.
Yeah. But yeah, I here, and then if you do have a lot of back extension, you can start reaching up, because then that'll start helping with your back bend, as long as you're not losing the leg.
Right. And you want to lean, like how far forward do you want to lean? Like, am I trying to go like lean, or is staying up better?
No, because the main part of it is your kickback. So if you're kicking back, if you're strongly kicking back, you're not going to be able to do it. So it actually looked really good.
Okay. Okay. Cool.
I like one line. I'll try.
How do you think it's going?
Yeah, really good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think. Sometimes I can't tell. And yesterday I had to get used to it. I was just like, when I get blank faces, I'm like, I don't. Do you get it? Or?
So you know, Selena, she used to like literally with our teachers be so. I'd be like, oh, give it a break. Like, yeah, our team's